Hello ladies and gentlemen, in today's video I'll show you how you can create this awesome slide zoom PowerPoint template with clickable section zooms and awesome animations step by step. So let's go.
That's good.
Alright ladies and gentlemen, so let's open up a fresh blank new presentation. And let's set the slide layout to blank. We don't need any image placeholders. And the first slide we have to create is our home slide. And for this slide, we need to find a beautiful background. So let's just copy this picture from unsplash.com. Link is in the video description. And now let's just paste this photo in our first slide. And now all we have to do, we have to cover our slide with this beautiful picture. So let's just drag it until it covers our slide. You can hold down the Shift key to maintain the proportions of your slide. And now with the crop tool, let's just crop our photo to the size of our slide. And at the same time, you can adjust the positioning of your photo inside of the crop area. That's awesome. Alright, so next we have to add our first slide section. So let's just right click and choose Add Section. Let's give it a name, for example, Opportunity. That's awesome. Let's insert a blank slide. And let's give it a dark background because we will be inserting some white circles. So this way it will be easier to work. And now let's just go to Insert Shapes and let's choose this circle shape. Hold down the Shift key to get a perfect circle. That's awesome. We can activate the slide guides so that we can see where is the center of the slide. And now let's just align that circle to the middle and to the center of the slide. And let's make sure that our circle has white outline. And for the width, we can insert 10 points. That should be fine. And now let's just cut this circle and let's paste it to slide number 1. Because here we will just use the eyedropper tool and we will copy this beautiful color from the tree from the first slide. I think it looks nice to use the same colors. And let's just add some transparency to our circle fill. That's awesome. And let's cut and paste it back to slide number 2. That's wonderful. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, and now let's just insert a text box. Now you cannot see anything because the text is in black, so let me change it to white color. Alright, so this is our text box Opportunity. And let me actually go to my previous presentation and copy the style of this text box, and let's just paste the style to this text box. This way we can save some time. And let's make sure that the text box is in the center of the slide. That's awesome. Alright, and next, as you can see, we need to insert the slide bulb icon. So let's just go to Insert Icons. If you don't have icon tab on your PowerPoint version, you can always go to websites such as flaticon.com and find icons there. So let's just insert this icon, which is called Idea. Let's make it white. Alright, and let's just increase its size so that we can see it better. Alright. So let's insert one more slide, and now we will have to create this opportunity slide. So as you can see, we have a light bulb, we have opportunity text box, and we have this huge circle. So we can basically copy all of these shapes from slide number 2, and let's paste them into slide number 3. And as you can see, our slide background is completely white. So let's just find another beautiful picture from unsplash.com that we could use. Let's hit copy. And now let's just go to Format Background and let's choose Picture and Clipboard. And this way we have successfully pasted that picture as our slide background. Alright, now let's grab the circle and let's increase its size so that it goes outside of the slide. Let's make sure it has no fill. That's awesome. And now let's copy this image one more time and let's paste it into the slide. Just like that. And let's go to Brightness Options and let's reduce the brightness of this image. -50. Alright, let's crop it to aspect ratio. Aspect ratio 16:9. That's wonderful. And now let's just make sure that this dark picture covers the whole slide. Don't worry if you don't understand this step. Soon you will see why we're doing this dark picture. Alright, and now let's continue working with the rest of the shapes. So let's reduce the size of this light bulb. And let's increase the size of the opportunity text box. So let's give it a font of 88. We can make it even bigger, just like that. And let me just copy the shadow of this light bulb and let's paste it here to this one. That's awesome. And let's make sure that our opportunity text box has some shadow as well. Alright, you can always play with the transparency, blur, and size to get any look that you want. That's beautiful. And now let me just copy this text from my previous presentation to save some time. Alright, and now a really important step, we have to set a morph transition for slide number 3. So let's just go to transitions and choose morph. Morph transition will help us to do the animation from slide number 2 to slide number 3. That's awesome. And for slide number 2, let's set it to transition automatically after 0 seconds. So this will give us a nice, beautiful animation. Alright, so now let me show you how we can add these fun-looking animated rounded rectangles to our slide. So let's just go to Insert, Shapes, and choose Rounded Rectangle. Draw any size and shape that you like. Let's make it fully rounded. That's awesome. Let's choose No Line, and for the fill, let's choose Slide Background Fill. And now as you can see, this rounded rectangle takes our bright slide background. As you remember, first we have inserted this bright slide background photo, and on top of that slide background we have inserted this dark version of the photo. And this way we are getting this beautiful effect, this beautiful fill effect for our rounded rectangle. That's awesome. So now we can rotate our rounded rectangle just for fun, and let's just place it anywhere that we want. For example, to the right side of the slide, and let's just make sure that our text boxes stay on top. That's awesome. Now we can go to Animations, Path Animations, and let's choose Line. Now let's grab this red bubble, and let's make sure it goes upwards, just like that. That's awesome. And now in the animation options, let's make sure that this animation auto-reverses. It starts with previous, and that it repeats until the end of slide. Okay, and for the animation duration, I'm using 2 seconds. So we can rotate it a little bit more, adjust the red bubble as well. Alright, and now we can make some quick copies. You can hold down Option on Mac or Control on Windows. And let's make sure that our text boxes stay on top. And now let me add a little bit of delay for each of these rounded rectangles. So 0.4 seconds for this one. For the third one, 0.8. And for the last one, 1.2 seconds. And we should be getting this beautiful animation of rounded rectangles, which are using slide background as their fill. That's awesome. Alright, so now we can start inserting some section zooms. Before that, let me just rename our first section to Home Slide. That's beautiful. And now let's just go to Insert, Zoom, and choose Section Zoom. Our first section, Opportunity, let's insert it. And let's right click and choose Zoom Background. This makes our section zoom background transparent. That's awesome. Let's position this section zoom anywhere that we want. That's beautiful. Alright. And as you can see, this section zoom covers slides from 2 to 3 and then it goes back. That's awesome. So I guess we can check it out on full screen. We click on the section zoom. And we automatically transition to this last slide in the section. And when we click, we zoom back. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so we have created our first slide section, Opportunity. And now we can start creating our next section, which is called Market. So let's add a new section. Let's call it Market. And we can copy the slides from the Opportunity section. And let's paste them into the Market section to save some time. Let's make sure we keep source formatting. That's beautiful. Alright, so now we have to do a couple of changes. I will quickly update the text boxes, change the icons, and find a new beautiful background picture. Alright, and now let me show you how we can add these animated rectangles to our market slide, which look like this. As you can see, they're growing up and down. So for that, we have to go to Insert Shapes, and let's choose a rectangle, a simple rectangle. And let's make sure that we set the slide background as the fill option for our rectangle. That's awesome. And for the lines, let's choose no line. Alright, and now we can start playing with the animations. So let's go to animations and let's choose grow shrink animation. Let's make sure that it goes only vertically. Alright, starts with previous, smooth start, smooth end, auto reverse, and let's set it to repeat until the end of slide. And for the growth percentage, let's choose 125%. You can experiment with any percentage that you would like. And if we would play the animation right now, you can see that this rectangle is growing upwards and downwards at the same time, but we would like this rectangle to grow only upwards. So to do that, we have to add additional line animation, which goes up. And now we can grab and select this red bubble and adjust it a little bit so that we have only this small upward motion path. And let's make sure that this motion path animation starts with previous, that it has the same smooth start, smooth end, auto reverse, and repeat until the end of slide. So now we can check it out and see what result we have. So I think it's pretty close. Let's reduce the motion path to something like this. And I think now it looks pretty good. It looks as if rectangle grows only upwards. So I think that's a nice effect. And now let's just align this rectangle to the bottom of the slide. And let's make some quick copies with the Option or Control key. And let's distribute these beautiful rectangles horizontally so that they have equal gaps. That's awesome. And at the same time, let me add some delays to these rectangle animations. Don't forget to add delays both to the growth shrink animation and motion path animation. Alright, let's check out the final result. As you can see, the first rectangle starts, then the second, and then the third. And we have this beautiful fluid animation. Alright, and if we want, we can select these three beautiful rectangles and copy them to the right side of the slide, so that we have 6 rectangles in total. Let's just make sure that we adjust the delays for these guys on the right side. And we should have some beautiful final result. Skadoosh, ladies and gentlemen, this is the market slide looking beautiful. So we have finished creating 2 sections, the opportunity section and the market section. So now we can insert the section zoom for the market section. Let's make sure it has transparent background. That's beautiful. Let's check it out on the full screen if it works. Should be working just fine. So we click. Now we automatically transition to the next slide, and here is the market slide with these beautiful animated rectangles. Alright, and before we continue, let me show you how we can add this beautiful zoom in effect to our home slide background. So this is just a grow shrink animation with 110%, smooth end, smooth start, auto reverse. So let's just copy this animation with the animation painter and paste it to our home slide. 110% grow shrink animation. Starts with previous. Alright. And this is how it looks like on the full screen. That's beautiful. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so let's continue with the next section, which is, as far as I remember, solution. Alright, so let's add a new section. Let's call it solution. Let's copy these 2 slides from our previous section. Let's paste them right here. Make sure we keep the source formatting. And as before, I will speed up a little bit and do some updating for the text boxes, icons, and I will find a new slide background picture. and I'll meet you when we will be animating some awesome bubbles. So meet you there. Alright, so let me show you how we can create these animated bubbles here on the right side of the slide. So let's get back to our presentation, go to Insert Shapes and choose the Circle tool. Hold down the Shift key to get the perfect circle, and once again let's set its fill to slide background and no outline. That's awesome. Now let's go to Animations and let's choose Line Animation. Let's make sure it goes up. Adjust the red bubble to adjust the distance to something like this. Alright, let's make sure it starts with previous. No smooth start, no smooth end, just repeat until the end of slide. So this is how the animation looks like. Alright, and let's add a second animation, which is fade animation, to the same circle. Let's make sure it starts with previous. The same duration, 2 seconds, and repeats until the end of slide. So this is how the final result should be looking like. So the bubble goes up, it pops, and it repeats. So now we can quickly copy this bubble a couple of times. We can increase the size of the copies to make it more interesting. And after that, I'll just add a little bit of delays for the second bubble and for the third bubble, so that we would have a little bit more interesting looking animation. So for the second bubble, 0.4 second delay, and for the third bubble, 0.8 second delay. And this is the final result. Looking beautiful. Alright, so the third section is completed, so now we can insert section zoom in our home slide. Let's choose Solution section. Let's make sure it has transparent background. We can increase the size of the section zoom if we want. And by the way, as you can see, we have these dotted lines. I'll show you how we can create those lines a little bit later on. And now let's continue with our last section, which is called Business Model. And as before, let me copy a couple of slides from any previous section. And let me do some updates. So I will change the text box to Business Model, change the icon, and find a new beautiful background. Alright, so let me show you how we can create this beautiful spinning gear animation for our last slide. So you can see we have some gears and their fill is set to background fill. That's super duper awesome. So first I thought that I could easily, subtract one of these gears from this gear icon. So that's what I did. I made a copy of these gears. Then I have inserted a freeform shape so that I would cover one of the gears. Alright, so here's the shape. And let's convert our gear icon to shape. Alright. So let's select the gear shape, hold down the Shift key, select the blue shape, and as you can see, the merge shape function is not available. So how can we actually cut one of the gears off? So first, let's just make them black. And now let's just cut these gears, and let's go to Inkscape, a free open source vector program. Alright, so let's paste those gears right here. Now they are just as a picture. So let's select it. And let's go to Path and choose Trace Bitmap, which will basically help us to make a vector copy of these gears. So let's just hit OK. So now we have a vector copy. We can change the color. That's awesome. And for this picture, we can delete it. Okie dokie. And now let's just use this tool to create a freeform shape, just the way we did in PowerPoint. Except this time it will work. So now we can select our gears, our freeform shape. And now let's just go to Path and choose Difference. So it's pretty much the same as subtract in PowerPoint. Alright. So we can just resize the whole document to the size of this gear. That's awesome. And now we can export this gear as an SVG file. So let's just save it as SVG file. That's super duper awesome. And now we will be able to import this gear into PowerPoint as an editable shape. So let's just go to Pictures, choose our gear SVG. That's awesome. Let's click Convert to Shape. So now it's an editable shape. We can change its color. And now if we would copy this gear, let's make a second copy. Select both of these copies. Now as you can see, the merge shape functions are visible. So that's super duper awesome. But as you remember, we have to set the fill of this gear to slide background. So let's just go to Fill Options and choose Slide Background Fill. And let's just make sure that text box is on top. Alright, let's reduce the size of this gear. And now we can start working with the animations. Let's make sure that there's enough place for the second gear. Few more adjustments. Alright, and now in the animations pane, let's choose Spin Animation. Okay, let's make sure it starts with previous duration, something about 7 seconds. Let's make sure it goes clockwise, makes full spin, and it repeats until the end of slide. Alright, and now we can quickly copy with the Option or Control key of this gear. And now let's position it so that, these gears nicely connect to each other. And for the second gear in the animations, let's make sure that the spin is going anti-clockwise or counterclockwise, I guess. Yeah, counterclockwise. And this is the final result. As you can see, we get this beautiful spinning animation. Alright, and this was our last section. So we can insert a section zoom in our home slide. So let's just go to Zoom, Section Zoom, and let's find Business Model section. Hit Insert. Make sure that the background is transparent. Alright, and now we can adjust the size and position of all of these section zooms until we get the look that we want. Alright, and now let's connect these section zooms for the beautiful dashed line. So let's just insert a line, which is blue, so let's make it white so that we can see it. Alright, and in the width options, let's give it a width of 7 points. Let's make sure that the cap and join is round. Alright, and for the dashed options, we can choose any dashed style that we want. Alright, and now we can use this line to connect all of our section zooms, and as before, you can quickly copy any object while holding down the Option or Control key, my friend. And if you'd like to choose a different dashed style, you can select all of your lines and choose a different style. For example, this one looks awesome. Alright, and we are pretty much finished. And let's just make sure that we bring all of these section zooms to front. And let me copy the title and subtitle and one skill logo from my previous presentation. Let's paste them here. And skadoosh, ladies and gentlemen, we are finally finished. Now you know how you can create this awesome slide zoom PowerPoint template with clickable section zooms and awesome animations. And if you'd like to get this slide zoom PowerPoint template for absolutely free, just go to my website, download section, insert your email, and I will send you this awesome template right away. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you on my next video.